medications.
Right.
So those are the things that can be done to reduce the prevalence rates.
Are there any kind of a diagnosis that can be done to know whether probably an expectant mother is carrying a child with that disorder?
You see, like I said, you cannot determine cerebral palsy until maybe 6 months plus. What you can determine is that the child has a developmental delay. You understand? So even when they do like CT scan, or when they do a scan, and they see that the child is not progressing normally, or the child is stressed, that's all they can tell you. If a child has no arm, a limb missing, they can see that on the scan. If the brain things are not working very well, they can see that. But what is it? No doctor can tell you. Okay. So it is after the child is born that it comes out that doctors can tell you definitely that, Madam, this child looks like it's going to have some issues. But what issues? And many doctors will tell you, even a child like that, after he's born, a lot of premature children have turned out to be normal, extremely brilliant people.
All right, for the benefit of those watching at home, we're going to be opening the phone lines, but we want you to tell us, you've been talking about management. How affordable is it?
The basic one, physiotherapy. You got to pay the man or the physiotherapist, or you got to travel to a hospital where you still pay for physiotherapy.
Are there alternatives, for an average Nigerian that cannot afford, because you know what physiotherapy, we know what to charge.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to explain. That when you consider doing that 3 to 4 times a week for a child, that's huge. Now the medications I've talked about for seizure control, for epilepsy, even for bowel control, there's a whole bunch of things that come up. Then the child has pneumonia, and so on. You find that cerebral palsy is the most expensive childhood disability to manage. And so it is not affordable. But if you ask the average person with a child, the average parent with a child with cerebral palsy that really cares, they'll tell you that somehow God meets them at their points of need. The thing is to accept the child, to be willing to take care of the child, and then to reach out to people. You see, there are alternatives in the terms that if you're willing and you're willing to do it, a few sessions with the physiotherapist will show you things that you can do at home. And then you do that regularly, you cut down the amount of physiotherapy that you need to do, so that you need to pay for. A lot of the medications and some of the food items, because some of them, a lot of the children can only eat soft food items, like noodles, like quicker oats and stuff like that, because they can't chew, they can swallow yam or rice and so on. So that's also expensive, but with proper management and with, interactions with others, particularly those who've been ahead of you, they'll tell you what they went through. And you'll see that there are options.
Now, what is incontinence and what is hypoxia in relation to cerebral palsy?
Well, you see, because they have incontinence is an inability to control bowel movement. Okay, so you find children with cerebral palsy, when they start growing and eating, begin to have that issue also, where they easily get constipated. Okay, because the muscle, you see, it affects a lot of muscles. We can see the limbs, but what we fail to understand that it also affects stomach muscles. So when you are unable to push and do things normally, they could eat for a few days without having bowel movement, and the next thing they get unnaturally constipated, and that becomes another problem. So there are all kinds of problems that the children have. Hypoxia is the result of reduced oxygen or stoppage of oxygen to the brain, and it results in a feeling of euphoria, like drunkenness, and if not addressed in time, can lead to death.
Now, we were talking about, I want to take us a little bit back because it's very worrisome. The latest data that we have, the recent one while researching, is that 1 in every 279 children have cerebral palsy, and you were saying 10 in 1,000. But now the latest data says it is even 1 in 278. I'm asking, in Nigeria or the rest of the world?
That's in Nigeria.
1 in every 200.
Birth.
Yes.
Not every person walking down the streets. Because of poor management, unfortunately, a lot of the kids die. Okay, but we're talking about birth. You see, worldwide now, you're looking at about 17 million people living with cerebral palsy. When you bring it home to Nigeria, it's more like 700,000. But it may not look like such a large number until you come to realize that for every child with cerebral palsy, you have between 5 and 20 people that are indirectly affected. The parents and the siblings at home are directly affected. It changes their lifestyle completely. Some mothers have to stop work completely. Some dads run out on the family. And that just makes life more difficult for the mom because she becomes a single mom who also can't afford to leave the child and go to work. So earning income drops. And what does that do to the other siblings too? Then you have relations, neighbors, then the medical team, a multi-faceted medical team that have to work with helping to manage these children. So if you take it at that 15 to 20 people, odd people, that are involved one way or the other in caring for this child, you're talking of easily maybe some more than about 7-8 million people in Nigeria that are affected, not suffering, that are affected. You see, when my child has because my child has cerebral palsy, there are things that I cannot do. Okay, because I have to spend more time with him, I have to spend more money on him, I have to buy equipment and so forth to take care of. So I have to deny myself, his siblings, my wife, so many things. So everybody is affected. That's what I'm talking about.
All right, thank you very much. Well, finally, you said something. We've been talking about new development. You spoke about the recent research, the latest data that we have on the disease. But there's this claim, that we could use stem cell to cure cerebral palsy. What's your opinion about it?
I'm glad you used the word claim.
Yeah.
There's a lot of claim out there. Claims are there. You could do this. The stem cell came up seriously after the late, Superman Christopher Reeves died. There's been a lot of thought about what could be done about the brain, how you could get the brain to regenerate itself and correct errors that have happened. The tests are still going on. And he committed a lot of money before his death. And some progress was made. And centers came up in America and all over Europe for stem cell research. But in the last few years, even the American government and a few other countries have come up to, funding has dried up for stem cell research. The reason is that the progress has not matched the expectation. It's not as if they have given up on it. They're still working on it. But a lot of centers came up with claims, and they're very expensive. As of 2008, when I visited a stem cell center in Cologne, Germany, it will cost you in the region of about $10,000 to do stem cell treatment, the basic. But then what do you get? Nobody is ready to put their foot, to tell you what you'll get. It's like, hopefully. Okay? And I think that's why research dried up. Because if people keep, because I said parents or people with degenerative diseases are willing to spend any amount of money with the hope of getting better. Now, when you do the treatment, and then you don't, maybe your child is, maybe has seizures like every other day. And then you do the treatment and suddenly it's like every 4 days. He's still having seizures. People who spend that kind of money expect a dramatic change. And the reality is that they don't get it. And it's from the complaints that has made experts or the government or the authorities look into these centers. And I can assure you that if you go online now, you won't find any center in Europe or America talking about stem cell. There are a few other countries that are still talking about it, but I would tell anybody who is thinking about it to think twice.
Now, rounding up, sir, I want to just chip this in. It's so important for this moment. I know we've said so much, and you finally shared with us that you have a child, that has cerebral palsy. So I can imagine the passion from where you're talking from and the information that you have to give to us. I was going to ask about how parents are able to cope, but you've already mentioned that. There's another thing, society and culture, How has society and culture cope? And in telling us that, what is your final say to parents who have children with cerebral palsy? As we
final advice to them.
You see, you probably, I didn't mention it, but I'm running an initiative with my wife, which is aimed at raising awareness about cerebral palsy. And it's because 18 years of managing our child and a lot of international exposure has shown us that there's a problem with the mindset in Nigeria. There's a problem with our understanding of disability, and which has resulted in the way we look at it, and we're trying to manage it. We need to understand that disabilities are not diseases, and they're not infectious, they're not contagious. We need to understand that they're not things to stigmatize or to blame a mother or family for. So we are pushing for forums where families can come together and compare notes, meet other people. They need to know that they're not alone. They need to be given environments, the conducive environment to come out with those children, and for the public to accept, at least to stop looking at them as oddities of nature, or to start feeling that you have a disabled child means that there's something wrong with you. So parents need to accept this children and to feel more comfortable about bringing them out.
Well, thank you very much, sir. We really appreciate your coming on the program. We've learned a lot, and we believe that viewers at home also, they've learned one or two things, if not so many. And we know that there is hope, for